Hi, I'm Andy. Today I'll tell you an ancient story. It's called Shooting Without a Bow and Arrow. Over 2,000 years ago in China, there's one ambitious young man called Ji Chang. He wanted to be the best archer in the country. He heard the best archer is named Fei Wei. He could shoot the marked willow leaf from 100 steps away. So Ji Chang paid him a visit. He wanted to learn archery from Fei Wei, but Fei Wei told him, "You have to learn to not to wink. When you can sleep with your eyes open, you can come back." So Ji Chang went home and thought, how could I learn not to wink? He got an idea. He lied down under the loom of his wife. He asked his wife to weave the fabric while he watching the shuttle flying back and forth. 3 years passed. He could not wink and slept with his eyes open. So he came back to his teacher Fei Wei and told him this good news. And Fei Wei said, "You are far from learning archery." He took up a seed of sesame and wrote a character with a brush on it and asked Ji Chang, "Can you read it?" Ji Chang said, "No." And Fei Wei said, "Then you have to watch the small things big and you can come back." Ji Chang was very frustrated. While he walking back home, he found there's a beggar on the street. He's catching flea on his body. So Ji Chang bought a flea from the beggar. When he came back home, he used his wife's long hair, tied the flea on the window, and watched the flea all day long. 3 years passed. He don't know how many flea he changed, until one day he could see the flea as big as a horse. So he came back to Fei Wei and told him the good news. Then Fei Wei was satisfied and started to teach him archery. And Ji Chang made a great progress. In 3 months, Fei Wei told him, "You are a famous archer in our country now. There's nothing I can teach you. There's a bow for you as a souvenir." Ji Chang was still very ambitious. He wanted to become the best archer in the country, but right now his teacher is the best archer, so he decided to kill him. One day, there's an opportunity. When he watching his teacher walking toward him from far away, he took out the bow and arrow and shoot his teacher, and his arrow hit the teacher's arrow one by one. Suddenly, the teacher Fei Wei found he got no arrow, but Ji Chang got the last one, so the arrow flew to the head of Fei Wei. Just in that second, Fei Wei opened his mouth and cut the arrow with his teeth. Ji Chang felt very embarrassed and shameful for what he did. His teacher Fei Wei did not blame him and told him there was one great master on the Emei mountain in Sichuan. He is the best shooter in China. Then Ji Chang went to the Emei mountain and he found this great master. He looked like over 100 years old. So Ji Chang showed him his skill. He shot down 2 goose from the heavens with bow and arrows. But the great master laughed. He said, "This is called the shooter with bow and arrow, and I'm gonna show you shooting without bow and arrow." So the young man Ji Chang did not understand. So he followed the great master, climbed up to the top of the Emei mountain. At the peak of the mountain, the great master said, "Could you show me your shooting skill again?" Ji Chang stand on the cliff with his legs shaking, because the cliff behind him is 1,000 meters deep. He was so scared and could not shoot, and he kneeled down to the master. So the master gave him a demonstration. He's standing on the rock, shooting to the sky as he was holding a bow and arrow, but actually there's nothing in his hands. Ji Chang was curious, so he asked, "Master, why do you shoot to the sky without a bow and arrow?" The great master said, "What you did is called shooting with bow and arrow. What I'm gonna show you is called shooting without bow and arrow." Just then, an eagle fell down to the ground. The great master picked it up and patted the feather. Then the eagle flew back to the heaven. Then Ji Chang understood that the master's skill of shooting is without a bow and arrow. Then he stayed together with the great master on the Emei mountain and learned archery. 9 years passed. When Ji Chang came back to his hometown, people welcomed him. He visited his teacher Fei Wei. When Fei Wei saw his face, he said, "Now you are the best archer in China." But he never showed people his master's skill of archery. He never touched the bow and arrow again. 40 years passed. One day, a gentleman invited Ji Chang to his home for a banquet. Ji Chang asked a bow hanging on the wall, "What's this?" The gentleman thought that he was kidding. The gentleman laughed, but Ji Chang asked him again. Until the third time, the gentleman found that he was not kidding, he was serious. He said, "That's the bow you used to shoot." So in Ji Chang's heart, he already forgot the bow and arrow. Later, when he died at over 80s, the young people in his hometown feel ashamed to shoot with bow and arrows. So this story tells us the real master never show off his skill. He's always humble and hide his skill. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Bye bye.